Anpetuaste, Tatea Aqualawi Lakotia Imachiapi, Na Kelsey Ducheneaux Washichie Imachiapi. Hello and good day. My Lakota name is Soft Little Breeze Woman, and my English name is Kelsey Ducheneaux. It's a sincere honor to be here talking with you today. I'm a member of the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe in north central South Dakota, and I am also the owner of DX Beef LLC. I started this journey as a small business owner by first graduating from the local school here on the Cheyenne River Sioux Indian Reservation, Timberlake High School. I journeyed off to college at South Dakota State University, which is South Dakota's land grant institution, where I learned all about the industry of agriculture. Up until that point, even though I grew up on a cow-calf operation, I had no idea that a career in agriculture was such a thing. After 4 years in learning my love for rangeland sciences and ecosystem management, I returned home to the family ranching operation and started an online degree with Colorado State University, specializing in integrated resource management. This exposed me to the concept of not only is agriculture a field in which you can have a career, but there's a financial component too. And there's a business that can be conducted in a career in agriculture. I was welcomed with open arms by my dad and his siblings in joining the family ranch. We are a fourth generation cow-calf operation in north central South Dakota in Dewey County that spans around 7,500 acres and is home to around 280 mama cows and their calves and a handful of bulls. We are an operation that puts family first and appreciates the values that a ranching operation can present to you in life. And it is a sincere honor to be able to carry on that through telling the story of DX Beef. I learned after joining the family operation that ranching for the average producer does not pay for itself. It is not a profitable occupation, and you better have an off-farm income to subsidize and to support that operation. But what I also learned is that being in the cattle industry allows you a really unique opportunity to steward the land and to care for the natural resources in a way that you as an individual person simply cannot. You can enhance the natural resources, you can improve the vegetation, you can increase the biodiversity. And if we can do all of that through our cow-calf herd, but we can figure out a way to stop selling live calves at the sale barn and instead finish them out to the form of packaged beef, we can again enhance the local ecosystem by providing a more resilient, healthier, more locally produced food product to the local communities. DX Beef started by selling individual shares in our product. You could buy into a cow in the quarter or half or whole share amount, and you would be able to get a portion of that animal back from the butcher, which you would coordinate with. We learned quickly that not very many families can allow for purchasing 100 pounds of beef at a time and storing them in their freezer. They don't have the freezer space. And quite often, a lot of times, household budgets don't allow for that amount of investment in one particular type of food. So we started to look at avenues in which we could break down that product even further. And we now sell grass-fed hamburger by the individual per pound package. And we have some unique buying options that allow multiple families to pool in together to invest in a share of an animal that better meets their household needs. First and foremost, our goal as land stewards is to increase the quality of our ecosystems. We've learned that our production practices from 1 week to the next can directly influence the value and the resiliency of our landscape. In the Northern Great Plains, we are a landscape that has evolved to be impacted appropriately by large cloven-hooved animals. The bison herds that existed by the thousands used to roam through this landscape, and they would graze in a pretty mob fashion, a very intense fashion, and then they would transition off, and they would be gone for anywhere from 1 to 3 growing seasons before they would return to that particular piece of the landscape to graze again. So this intense grazing, cloven hoof impact, and then rest, it is something that this ecosystem and all of the vegetation has evolved under. Through appropriate management practices, this is something that me and my family can mimic through our grazing rotation of our cattle herd. While our cattle are a little bit smaller in size and stature, they do still have the cloven hoof that the bison has. They do have a little bit different grazing preference if you allow them to. Now, we found very creative ways as cow-calf producers to really almost trick them into grazing a little more like a bison would to help support our plant relatives and the plant community to increase the diversity. Biodiversity is resiliency. It is something that this ecosystem needs to be able to withstand the very harsh climate shifts that we see, and weather pattern shifts that we see from one week to the next. The more biodiverse our landscape is, the more resilient it is. And I keep looking out the window and trying to see all the diversity that exists out there. I wish everybody could be here seeing the hundreds of plant species that we have and the dozens of wildlife species that we have, alongside the diversity that we can point out within our cattle herd. We believe that a more biodiverse ecosystem is going to contribute to a more resilient product as well. Our product is going to be able to stand the test of time as well as the test against other products because of the landscape in which it is grown on and the production practices which we utilize from birth to boxed beef. And this has allowed us to grow a really trustworthy product by putting our number one priority in stewarding the land and regenerating our landscape. We have really built a platform upon which any community member can get behind. Our consumers, they are concerned with what they're feeding their families, but they're also concerned with what their landscape is going to look like for their families, for the next generation and those to come. And because of our production principles, they know that in supporting DX beef and supporting the DX ranch, they are contributing to an enhanced ecosystem for the generations to come. And this has allowed us to really build a relationship with our communities. And that is something that screams quality when you're working on in community engagement. It's so important to take the time to not just feed people your product, but educate them about your product. Culturally, the Lakota Nation is a group of people that has had a very direct connection with the landscape. So many of our cultural stories and so much of our language is derived from a story or a philosophy that is representative of nature or our connection to nature. And what we have to remember is that there's been such a systemic policy implemented over the course of time that has removed a lot of our Native communities from having that connection. And so it's very uplifting for us to be able to reconnect our community members with the source of their food and helping them to feel as though they, in spending their food dollar on DX beef, are again reconnected with stewarding the land and engaging with nature. We have the opportunity to use our product, which they trust, to feed their families, but to educate their families as well, to inform them on our production practices and the need to be more conservative in how we are using our resources and regenerating our landscape. And we can empower them as a consumer. They now have options. They don't just have to buy whatever is available at the grocery store. They know that they can purchase from us a product that was raised locally, that was raised humanely, that contributed to a resilient ecosystem and is directly impacting the local economy. When we ask our community members to buy local, it's not simply because, we have something that's more appealing? It's because we're also supporting the local economy. When we have any sort of product that we need to purchase for the business, we do as much of our business as we can locally. If there is a local marketing firm that we can utilize to help us with our products, we use them. If we need to buy feed for our animals in the winter, we get it from the local cooperative. By keeping our food dollar local and keeping our net profits local in the community, we're continuing to enhance a more resilient economy and improve the quality of our community. It goes both ways. We've learned that our job is not to care for this landscape for ourselves. We truly follow the Lakota teaching of seventh generation. Our responsibility on this land is to be the seventh generation following our ancestors. We are the generation that our ancestors prayed for and prepared for and thought of as they cared for this landscape. Similarly, we have to do the same thing for the seventh generation to come. The seventh generation is the generation that it's not humanly possible for us to be able to actually meet. But they are one that is going to one day attribute their ability and the resources to our management and our stewardship in our lifetime today. So as we are caring for the land, we're considering how our impact on our day-to-day activities and our year-to-year business growth is going to contribute to that seventh generation's reality. In today's world, it's really easy to get overwhelmed, to be scared, to buy into a lot of fear that it's in glass half empty circumstance. But the reality is, 7 generations from now, that is the generation that is counting on us to see the glass half full. We, as land stewards, as business owners, as engaged community members, can do everything from one day to the next to stay hopeful, to stay optimistic, and to stay focused on progress that will contribute to a more resilient and more localized food system for the 7th generation to follow. In keeping with that, we don't have to only prepare for the 7th generation to come. We can help the generation immediately following us by serving as a mentor and providing direct assistance and support in whatever way possible. And as DX Beef has started to find some success in our business model and contributing to our local community, I cannot wait to share what I have learned with whoever might be interested. So please accept my extended offer to helping you in finding your place in promoting a more local food system through your role as a food grower, as a land steward, or as a community member wanting to support local food systems in your area. I'm always happy to answer any questions that come my way. You can reach out to us on our website at dxbeef.com or find us on our social media platforms on Facebook or Instagram by searching at MyDXBeef. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing from you.